Nova always knew she was different. While other cadets at the Celestine Galactic Academy obsessively honed their combat maneuvers and starship piloting skills, Nova found herself drifting through lessons with a bored smile and an itch for something beyond the ordinary. In a universe teetering on the brink of corporate domination and galactic injustice, she felt an inner pull, a sense of destiny that her strict parents and even the Academy's prying instructors could never quite explain. One starlit evening, as Nova lounged in her cluttered room aboard her family's moonbase, a blinking alert caught her attention on her comm pad. The message was encoded in symbols and quizzical glyphs, a language not meant for her eyes. Its lines pulsed in shades of electric blue and violet, a hypnotic dance of data that whispered secrets of far-off worlds and hidden power. Although the message clearly wasn't addressed to her, something inside her stirred. With a mixture of curiosity and the rebellious certainty that she was destined for more than routine academy classes, Nova tapped the screen and responded with a single defiant, "Hello?" Almost immediately, her comm pad buzzed with an answer, a series of cryptic coordinates and a desperate plea. "Save me before they execute me." The message was signed by someone simply called Z. Nova's heart pounded. It was as if fate had knocked on her door and she couldn't possibly refuse. Even though she'd been told time and again that battle training was too dangerous for someone her age, deep down she knew that her life was meant for adventure, and perhaps even heroics. Without a second thought, Nova crept into the hangar where her parents' prized starship, the Aurora's Dawn, rested like a gleaming silver beast. The ship's sleek lines and intimidating armaments had always made her feel both proud and trapped. Proud to be born into a family of legendary spacefarers, yet frustrated by the confines of expectations. Tonight, however, the ship beckoned her like a trusted friend, promising freedom and danger in equal measure. While sneaking past the biometric scanners and giving a cheeky wink at the voice-activated AI that insisted on proper greetings, Nova found the controls surprisingly intuitive. "I guess I was born for this," she murmured, half to herself and half to the ship's inert dashboard. With a flick of a switch and a burst of thrusters, Aurora's Dawn tore away from the dock, leaving behind a trail of stardust and a few very exasperated parental notifications. The coordinates led Nova deep into a sector of space she'd only heard about in hushed whispers, a dark quadrant dominated by the colossal universal conglomerate Galactics Industries. Known for its ruthless acquisitions and aggressive land-grabbing policies, Galactics had been the bane of several alien civilizations. It was there, in a heavily fortified prison facility orbiting a dying star, that she would find Z. The journey was not without its quirky challenges. At one point, Nova's ship inexplicably decided to play an ancient Earth pop hit, its jaunty melody at odds with the tension of her mission. "Really? Aurora's Dawn?" she grumbled as she adjusted the volume, though a small smile betrayed her amusement. After all, even starships had a sense of humor, or so she liked to think. When Nova finally arrived at the facility, a sprawling, fortress-like structure built into the crust of an asteroid, the magnitude of her mission sank in. Satellite turrets rotated methodically, laser grids crisscrossed the entrance, and an ominous dome shielded the compound from outside interference. According to the decrypted message, Z was not just any alien. He was a dissident landowner whose refusal to sell his ancestral patch of terra firma to Galactics Industries had earned him the company's wrath. Now he faced execution for his stubbornness. Disguising herself in a stolen maintenance uniform and armed with nothing more than her wits and a rapidly growing sense of her own latent abilities, Nova infiltrated the facility. The corridors were dimly lit, echoing with the hum of machinery and the occasional squawk from an overworked security droid. Nova pressed on, her footsteps light and her mind racing with thoughts of adventure and righteous rebellion. Deep within the labyrinthine corridors, Nova found the cell that held Z. The door was reinforced with futuristic alloys and pulsating security locks, but to Nova it looked more like a challenge than a barrier. As she set to work on the lock, using a mix of clever hacking techniques and a few well-placed digital jabs of her own, she felt something stirring within her, a gentle, insistent warmth at the base of her spine that hinted at untapped power. The lock clicked open, and Nova stepped into a dim chamber. There, slumped against the wall in a containment pod, was an alien with hulking body that shimmered with black fur. His eyes, though closed, radiated a sense of sorrow and defiance. "Z?" she whispered, not entirely sure she should be addressing him as if he were a friend rather than a captive. At that moment, alarms blared, and red lights bathed the corridor in a menacing glow. Nova's heart pounded as armed guards surged into the room. "So, you're the little rebel," snarled one of them. "Execution will commence shortly." In the blink of an eye, Nova's hidden abilities erupted. Without conscious thought, she dodged and weaved through the barrage of laser fire, her movements fluid and almost supernaturally graceful. A surge of energy pulsed through her, and the guards found themselves flung aside by unseen forces. Nova, equal parts exhilarated and shocked, managed to reach Z and unseal his containment pod. "Thank you," Z croaked, his voice rough from disuse. "I didn't think anyone would come." "Don't thank me yet," Nova replied with a wry grin, though her mind was racing with questions. "I'm still figuring out what the heck is happening to me." Barely a minute later, Nova's escape route was compromised by reinforcements. As they made their way through the maze-like corridors, Z, though weak, insisted on accompanying her. "I may new to this, but I'm not going to let you face this alone," he declared. His tone was gruff, but there was a warmth in his eyes that suggested a lifetime of hardships endured with a stubborn spark of hope. Nova couldn't help but laugh in the midst of danger. "I don't need a bodyguard, but I wouldn't mind having one anyway. Besides, if you can teach me how to control this weird power, I could use all the help I can get." And so, amidst the chaos of blaster fire and digital alarms, an unlikely partnership was forged. A human girl with newfound abilities and an alien prisoner with a grudge against corporate tyranny. During their frantic escape, Nova discovered more about her hidden strength. At the moment of extreme need, her instincts had awakened a telekinetic ability, allowing her to manipulate the very energy around her. Though she had never suspected such power existed within her, it now flowed as naturally as her own heartbeat. With each pulse, she felt more connected to the universe, as if the stars themselves were whispering secrets in her ear. Once they reached the relative safety of a derelict cargo freighter hidden among the asteroid belts, Z took the opportunity to explain the gravity of their situation. "Galactic's Industries isn't just a greedy corporation," he explained in a hushed tone, his eyes scanning the starry void outside. "They've been buying up worlds, forcing civilizations to sell their land for development, and crushing any dissent. I refused to sell my people's ancestral home. That's why they condemned me." Nova listened intently, feeling a growing sense of solidarity with the alien's plight. "So, what now?" she asked, a spark of determination lighting her eyes. "I'm not going to let a bunch of corporate bullies decide the fate of entire worlds, especially not when they're messing with my kind of people." Z nodded, a hint of a smile breaking through his weariness. "You have power, Nova, more than you know. But power without control can be as dangerous as a malfunctioning warp drive. Let me show you how to harness it. Together, we can dismantle galactics from within." For the next several days, in the quiet isolation of the freighter, Z taught Nova to meditate, to focus her thoughts, and to channel her inner energy. Their training sessions were punctuated by humorous mishaps. A stray burst of telekinetic force sending floating tools careening around the cramped cabin, or Z's exasperated grumbles when Nova accidentally rearranged the freighter's control panels with her mind. "I swear, if you levitate another wrench off my foot, I'm going to file a complaint with the Cosmic Ombudsman," he teased one afternoon. But beneath the levity was a serious determination. Nova learned that her power was not just raw force, it was a manifestation of her will, her heart, and the deep-seated passion for justice that had always been part of her. As her abilities grew more refined, so did her understanding of the universal balance between chaos and order. Armed with newfound control and bolstered by Z's wisdom, Nova devised a bold plan to strike at the heart of Galactic's industries. Their target was the corporation's central headquarters, a towering monolith of chrome and glass, orbiting a pulsating nebula where the corporate overlords orchestrated their relentless expansion. Nova's plan was audacious. Infiltrate the headquarters, expose the corporation's corrupt practices, and liberate the lands and people they had subjugated. Before setting off on the next leg of their journey, Nova took a moment to reflect on her transformation. Just weeks before, she'd been a brilliant but underappreciated cadet, sidelined by her parents' insistence that battle training was far too dangerous. Now, not only had she stolen her parents' spaceship and defied expectations, she'd also uncovered powers that could change the fate of worlds. "Maybe they were right about me being too young," she mused with a laugh. "But they clearly underestimated what a determined human can do." Z, who had grown to admire her irreverent humor and unyielding courage, clapped her on the shoulder. "Age is but a number, Nova. It's your spirit that counts. And trust me, the universe has a way of rewarding those who dare to dream and act." The journey to the headquarters was fraught with challenges. Nova and Z piloted the Aurora's dawn through asteroid fields and evaded patrols with a combination of daring maneuvers and Nova's unpredictable bursts of telekinetic energy. Their banter filled the cockpit, a blend of quips and shared moments of awe at the vastness of space. "I hope Galactic's Industries is ready for a human with a knack for space piracy and a side of cosmic kung fu," Nova joked as they approached the corporate beacon. Once inside the orbit of the headquarters, the duo faced the true test of their skills. Nova's ability to manipulate energy allowed her to scramble the security feeds and disable sensors with a wave of her hand, while Z's intimate knowledge of corporate protocols, gleaned from years of resisting their advances, helped them navigate the labyrinthine corridors of the megastructure. Together, they became a blur of synchronized chaos, a duo that defied expectations and left a trail of befuddled security droids in their wake. In the heart of the headquarters, Nova and Z confronted the CEO of Galactic's Industries, a towering figure known only as Director Crone. His office overlooked a vast holographic map of conquered planets, and his voice dripped with disdain. "You dare to infiltrate my domain!" he bellowed, his tone both amused and enraged. Nova stepped forward, her eyes alight with the fire of rebellion. "I dare because I must," she declared. "You think you can buy and sell entire worlds like trinkets? Well, I'm here to tell you that not everyone's property is for sale." A tense standoff ensued. Crone's security forces advanced, but Nova's hidden abilities surged to full bloom. With a graceful yet ferocious display, she redirected blasts of energy, hurling them back at the attackers with precise, almost artistic flair. Z joined the fray, his alien agility and resourcefulness complementing Nova's raw power. Their combined efforts turned the corporate headquarters into a battleground where every blow, every burst of telekinetic force chipped away at the tyranny that had gripped the galaxy. As the battle raged, Krone's bravado began to crumble under the relentless assault of a human girl and her unlikely ally. "You! You cannot do this!" he roared, his voice echoing in the chamber as he struggled to regain control. But Nova's resolve was unyielding. "I'm not alone," she countered, "and neither is every being who refuses to be oppressed." In a final climactic moment, Nova concentrated all her energy, channeling the luminous force that had been quietly growing within her. With a resounding cry, she unleashed a surge of power that disintegrated the digital chains binding the corporate network, exposing the heinous practices of Galactic's industries to the entire galaxy. Security systems collapsed, and the headquarters fell into disarray as the truth blazed across every screen in the universe. With Director Krone and his cronies defeated, Nova and Z set about undoing the damage wrought by decades of corporate greed. Their actions sent shockwaves through the interstellar community. Former corporate territories were swiftly reclaimed by the indigenous populations, and a movement for galactic self-determination gained momentum. In the aftermath, Nova became a symbol of hope and defiance. A reminder that even the most unassuming among us can harbor extraordinary power. Her parents, initially furious at her reckless theft of the Aurora's dawn, eventually recognized the wisdom in her actions. They admitted that perhaps they had been too cautious, and that Nova's destiny had always been to chart her own course among the stars. Z, now freed from his chains of imprisonment and corporate exploitation, chose to remain by Nova's side. No longer merely a prisoner or a bodyguard, he became her trusted friend and mentor. Together, they traveled from one liberated world to another, helping to rebuild communities, restore ancient lands, and champion the rights of those oppressed by the voracious appetite of corporate empires. In quiet moments during their travels, Nova would reflect on the surreal series of events that had led her from a bored cadet to a galactic liberator. "It's funny," she mused one evening as they drifted through the serene glow of a nebula. "I always thought I was just meant to be the best at everything on paper, but destiny, real destiny, is messy, unpredictable, and sometimes downright hilarious." Z chuckled in agreement. "And yet here we are, you with your hidden abilities and unquenchable spirit, and me, once a captive of a tyrannical regime, now a free man with a debt to repay to the universe. Who would have thought?" The legend of Nova grew with each passing star and liberated world. Tales of the daring girl who stole a starship, defied a monolithic corporation, and rescued an alien prisoner spread throughout the galaxy. Her adventures were recounted in hushed tones in spaceports and bustling intergalactic bazaars alike. Though she maintained a light-hearted sense of humor about the whole ordeal, often teasing that she'd borrowed the spaceship for a joyride, she never lost sight of the gravity of her mission. Nova's journey was far from over. There remained countless battles to be fought, countless injustices to be righted, and many more mysteries to unravel about the true nature of her powers. But for now, as she gazed out at the endless expanse of space from the bridge of Aurora's dawn, she felt an overwhelming sense of purpose and hope. "I'm just getting started," she whispered to the cosmos, a confident smile playing on her lips. "And I promise no human or alien will ever be messed with again." In that moment, the stars seemed to shine just a little brighter, as if in silent applause for the girl who had embraced her destiny, defied expectations, and reminded the universe that sometimes the most extraordinary heroes come in the smallest, most unexpected packages. Thus, in a universe often governed by cold logic and corporate greed, Nova's story stood as a testament to the power of determination, the mystery of hidden talents, and the enduring truth that laughter and courage can light the darkest corners of space. And as she soared into the cosmic horizon, accompanied by the steadfast presence of Z, Nova knew that the battle for justice was only beginning, and that she, with her brilliant heart and newfound abilities, was more than ready to meet it head-on.